Yo, 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 what's up, everybody? So, welcome to the last day, but second to last session for the relationship intensive. And this has been super fun. I'm so glad y'all are here. For folks that are like running this uh, current time, right? And this is like your fourth class, or yeah, fourth class. Like, y'all are amazing for sticking this out. I think and like I said I think yesterday, last class where I was like, I think gonna highlight that intensive word and like underline it and like have a little asterisk to be like, no, it's actually intense. Like it's not just a word I'm using. Like it's actually gonna be pretty intense for folks. Um, and I think there's like cost and benefits, right? Like there's like a really beautiful pressure that can happen in intensives, and every time we're dropping in, every time we're like tuning into the container, every time we tap that, um, let's say intensity, right, we can go deeper. Um, and there's also a different school of thought, right? Like, we softly, they even have a fancy word, it's called titration, right? Where you touch something, you stay within your capacity and you just like gently come out and you like touch things and you gently come out. And both are important, right? And so that's why for 3 months we like gently built momentum carrying us over here, and then what I was trying to like find words to describe is, and then right now it's just like it's just the icing on the cake, right? So thank y'all for being here. um what I want to focus on today is hopefully not going to be confusing. I know that I talk a lot and sometimes explain things like in convoluted ways. um but I want to talk about how our relationships create our reality. And I think, we hear a lot of lip service to like, you create your reality, your thoughts create your reality. What, like, there's like cool quotes, right? Where like, what you think you are, you become, whatever, right? We don't have to search far to find those, right? But oftentimes there isn't in those quotes, let's say like, they don't point to the fact that like actually our relationships also create our reality and anchor and structure it. And so when we're talking about our relationships, we have to talk about like the congruence that gets created when my self-talk, when my body and my emotions are all aligned. And congruence makes something powerful. It does like create my behaviors. It creates, therefore, like, again, my world. But congruence doesn't mean something is authentic, right? So my self-talk could be like, I fucked up bad. My body is like tense here, collapsed in my tummy. And then I just feel shame in my heart. And then let's say I have examples, and maybe the people aren't in my life currently, right? But I have examples of people who have related to me in a way that is aligned with that self-talk, my collapsed shoulders, and then the shame in my heart in this example, right? What congruence does is that it makes that really powerful, but it doesn't make it accurate. It doesn't make it true, but it creates the causes for this feeling tone to then create a pattern of my behaviors, to create a pattern of my perception of the world, to create a pattern of how I show up in my relationships, what I expect in them, right? And then that creates my reality itself. Damn, just out the gate came out heavy. Sorry, y'all. maybe I need to maybe I need to chill on my notes, but add more smiley faces before we get into it. Um, but we're gonna break it down, right? Because just because something is a pattern, and truly, and there's been times in my personal life. Well, good morning. There's been times in my personal life where I'm like, oh man, like, I've been such a hurtful person, and everything in my conscious and subconscious mind is just like 10,000 examples. And then I'm just like, and that's why I'm so committed to being kind. And then they're like 10,005 more examples, right? But if I don't let the congruence, if I don't subscribe to it, let's say, there can be a billion examples of how I've been unkind, and my commitment to be kind, regardless or even because of that, can shatter that congruence. And that space resets all of these different systems that have been put into motion. And the reason, honestly, like what's important here is that like most of the time we inherited these things. Our self-talk generally, and I know for folks that have done this work for a while, like and whether with me or with anybody, right? Like there'll be moments where you hear self-talk and you're like, that's not me. You're like, that's what my mom used to say every time I fucked up. You know what I'm saying? Like, or even like again, you're like holding this shame, and I'm like, and we start to ask this question of like, is that true anymore? And you're like, no, it's not. Oh, damn. You're like, I believed it. You're like, it's not even true, right? Or even that shame, you're just like, whose shame is that? And I'm like, that's my dad's shame. Like I think this shame I carry around, this like red hot pain I carry around to work because I'm not doing enough. And I'm like, whose shame is that? And I'm like, that's my dad's feeling of never enough. That's not even mine. Right. But when it's congruent, right? When my self talk, when my body, when the emotion, when people talk to me, when I see the world, all of those congruent makes them seem really powerful, really solid, really true. And all we have to do is just put a little bit of pressure on any of these points and they shatter, right? And um again, this is with all of these things, like it's about you. It's not about how I do work. There's particular things that I do that work really well for me that I don't think are going to work well for everybody. Um with the congruence, you just need to have, let's say, like a strong grip of any of these places, right? And sometimes for folks, they're like my self-talk. They're like, I can hear myself talk, I can watch it, I can like engage in redirecting my negative self-talk. And you're like, it's relentless. You know what I'm saying? That it keeps going. It tries to come up with creative examples. And but there's this way that you can again like kind of put it right back onto that negative self-talk. And again, with that example I gave of just they're like, well, you fuck everything up. And I was like, I know, and that's why I work so hard to be good at things. And they're like, well, don't forget you were bad at that. And I was like, yeah, it was my first time. And like, look how good I am now. And the self-talk is just like, damn it. Like, damn him applying coping skills. Well adjusted motherfucker. Right? He's like, damn it. Got lost another one. Right? um, I hope you are okay with me just being super silly about this stuff. um, but with this self-talk, right? Like it's my ability to respond. We could even say lean in, engage, challenge, begins to shatter again the solidity of it, right? Because the self-talk is often now negative self-talk, right? Is always going to give us like very good reasons why we shouldn't do things, why we're not capable, why we're not worthy, and we're just like, I'm gonna do it anyways. And they're like, well, you're gonna fuck it up, and I was like, yeah, it'll probably be really fun though, right? And the self talk's just like self destructs, right? So, but that takes a type of engagement that might not be naturally our skill set, right? So if it works for you, hit it, do work, spend time there, right? If it doesn't, that's okay. The next option, right, is in my body. In my body, again, a part of the congruence with my self talk, I forgot the thing I started with, but it's like, you're gonna mess this up, right? And then in my body, I'm like remembering the shape of I mess things up, right? Like the shape is shoulders down, my stomach is hollow, my face is like long, right? And all I have to do is like, well, I'm about to mess this up as cool as I can, right? I'm about to mess this up looking good at least, right? And I'm probably gonna fuck it up. I got like I got what do you call it? Like butter finger, right? I got butter fingers. I'm probably gonna suck at this thing, but I'm gonna do my best anyways. I'm gonna mess it up with style. Thank you, Yanni. Right? And just the structure itself means I'm not subscribing to the story, right? Like no, uh, like congruence is required for an emotion to be fully felt and expressed, right? That's what it was powerful when we kind of opened the range of expression in our face. We've never seen somebody walking around, or I've never seen somebody walking around, and then they're like, "I'm just really sad today," and then they're like, "Really, what happened?" You're like, "I don't know. It's just been the worst day of my life ever." Right? You'd be like, "Are you gonna hurt somebody?" You're just like, "Do you want to sit down and talk real quick?" Right? But if their body posture is showing one thing, they also can't be like, "I'm so happy. I'm so happy." Right? Like the congruence has to come from, we could say in this example, right? Like facial expressions, intonation. I didn't even do a good job because my intonation was still matching happiness, right? But intonation, expression, shape, right? Like that congruence, again, is what makes this experience seem so true. But if you, boom, relax your shoulders back, fill that space with earth energies, then like you're good. And then next, we were talking about emotions, right? And that backlog of emotions. And here, right, let's say, so again, I was like, I'm gonna probably mess this up. The self-talk, the shape, but the emotion, those aren't typically coming from this moment in time. And with the emotion in particular, right, we're going to bring awareness to the backlog of emotions, right? Meaning that, like, I'm having to tap into shame from when I was 5 and messed up. And I'm going to tell this story because I think it's just so over the top. Um, it like always, I always kind of laugh at it, but so I really love animals, and I really loved animals growing up, and I have a lot of really funny stories. It's the baby chicken story. Um, so one time, this is on okay, and I was like a knucklehead growing up. One time we lived kind of in the hood, but also like there was farms. It was in San Bernardino in Fontana, and we would jump over like a few houses, and the neighbor had chickens. And one time I stole one of his roosters and brought it back and was trying to raise it under my bed. And of course, like my parents find it. Eventually, the neighbors like, "Yo, I heard your kid like stole this rooster," and so then we had to give the chicken back, right? And then every morning, the rooster would jump over the wall, make it to my house, and like cluck at my door. And eventually, like my parents let me buy the chicken, and then I raised him, not under my bed. Um, but it was also the hood, so he got stolen by somebody else, so along with my basketball. So, anyway, side note. So this is a story. It's kind of intense, but I used to have these chicks, right? And I remember I was like 5 or something, and I'm carrying like a 5-gallon bucket that my dad cut. It's full of water. I'm gonna feed these chicks, and they're really excited, and they're like, you know, chirping all around me, and I step on one, and I kill it, and my brother came out and was like, "You kill everything, Ken." And then I go inside and my parents are like, "You killed something else?" And they literally were like, "Everything you touch dies." And I remember just the intensity of that. And literally everyone was telling me this thing. And what's really great is that it's so over the top, right? It's so brutal. It's so over the top. And I didn't find this story until like much later, right? Like I didn't find this story until I was trying to be loving and I was scared to be loving because if I softened and loved something, I would kill it. Like that was the story in my body, in my 5-year-old body. So then the question is, right, like that backlog of fear and all of those walls and unprocessed emotions, right? The question is like, how can we get the tone and like allow them to all, let's say, like line up to be cleared, right? So the self talk, again, if it works, we can challenge it. Again, being open to whose self talk is that? Who was the first person I heard say that? How old was I the first time someone said that? In my body, the shape, right? Like, and then the emotion, and then the long stream of anchoring moments in time that that emotion is, let's say, yeah, like anchoring into, right? So for me, like those were the experiences that I was like, damn it, y'all, that's just that shit was so over the top. And yeah, and I mean I worked in the field of family violence. So I took care of kids. I took care of, I think in the 5 years I was there, something like 6,000 children went through the shelter doors that I worked at. So I got a lot of opportunities to like deeply love little human beings and participate in their care. And I don't have any pets, so I have a cat. My girlfriend has a cat. But anyways, right? So like these moments can anchor substantially, and they could be, let's say maybe that was at 5, but let's say everyone in my life saw me that way. Me choosing to not see myself that way and me choosing to heal those emotions will always be more powerful than even like 1,000 counter examples. They literally they can't coexist. Again, with that example of the self-talk, they're just like, you're going to fuck that up. And then there's like 12 examples. They're like, remember when you wanted to build a house and you thought you could because you lived in a house for all these years? And I'm like, okay, that was over the top. They're like, remember when you wanted to learn French? And I was like, oh yeah, 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 I totally fucked that up, huh? They're like, remember, and they just keep giving me examples, right? And then I'm like, I'm still gonna try anyways. Like it can't match the commitment, the new space, maybe we could even say the new congruence. It can't be negated. And that's all we're trying to do. Does it matter if these moments are pre-birth? Um, no. This works for past lives. We're doing energy work. So this can be like soul shit. We can be past life shit. It can be pre-verbal shit, in utero. But the thing that will always, I'll say that the point of connection is the tone. So although I might not be able to articulate the self-talk, maybe I can't give language to the sensation, but we let the sensation find the things that anchor it and root it, right? So in this example, for real, right? Like, and I remember that story, um, 13 years later, and I literally did not remember, but I was, um, like, I was noticing this deep fear to be like soft and to be loving. And then there was all this shame underneath it. And then I let that shame find all of its co-resonant moments. This shame was highly decontextualized, was I didn't even have conscious awareness of it, right? And it wasn't even conscious. I would say it wasn't even like unconscious. I'll say this was like hidden and like denied. Like, and there's a slight difference between the things that I'm aware of and then not aware of, but I'm like, oh wow, there's shame here. Oh my God, I love it. Right. I'm just like, oh, shame, come here. No, this was like, I refused to believe I had shame. Right. This was like my hidden shame. That and it was literally that deep down inside, I just thought I was bad. Which I know I'm like, I'm saying, damn, good morning, y'all. We're getting deep today. Right. I saw deep down, I thought I was bad. And everyone in my life, again, I did grow up in like intense shit. So like they just reflected that. Um, all right, just to, like icing on the cake. A lot of my family members used to say I was the devil, and so then um, I thought that was really cool because I was just like, I can scare adults. So then I just be like, rah, right, and I'd be like, and I would just like do shit to like fuck with them even more, um, because I was just like, damn, like that sounds really cool, and I felt really powerful because I can make all these adults around me get mad at me and I could like I felt in control of them. So I was like, cool, like fuck that. So y'all are just getting to hear my own process now. But anyways, right? So like that was a congruent ass, super reflected in my community that I was bad. All it meant was that it was deeply hidden, I'll say, and like deeply subscribed to. It felt true, but of course it could never be true, right? Like no amount of congruence, even if 10,000 people had told me that, the second I was like, wait, like I care about people or I want to be kind. The second, even just the desire of that, not even an example of my kindness, just my openness to coexist with I can be good shatters the congruence. And I'm saying this, and these are personal, right? But that congruence is going to be like, you're weak, you can't, you're lazy, you're bad, you're not worthy, right? Like, we're going to find each of these really core, let's say, very congruent patterns. And that's what we're going to unpack today in this first session. In the first part of the first session, we're not we're gonna do a lot. So let me just check. Buckling up, yeah, buckle up, get a blankie. Good morning, Aisha. The Twilight Zone episode that models this. All of the adults were afraid of a little boy. Damn, that's cool. I also noticed how easy and safe it is to go back into negative self-talk. Exactly. That's because of that pattern. That's because there's so much congruence. Me stepping outside of that sometimes feels very vulnerable. Um, versus getting vulnerable enough with myself to admit that there could have been different possibilities than the one I know in my head. That's what's up, Fatima. You are amazing. That's exactly what I'm talking about. Just got my blanket. Cool. Yeah. So we're gonna go really deep. Um, Generally speaking, we might find, let's say, like the third most stuck pattern or the second most stuck pattern. That really stuck pattern, um, probably it's gonna take some while to unpack. Because again, it's not just that I'm not conscious of it. It's that like these are gonna be deeply hidden. So just be open to it. We'll just kind of like really invite our guides and our inner wisdom to be like kind of like keeping an ear out for where our caca is. Again, because especially those deeper patterns, often they're just so congruent that we don't even know where to find them. That it's in the congruence, but hearing, wait, do I really believe that I'm bad? And then literally being like, holy shit, like I think I'm bad in that situation. This person yelled and I think it's my fault when like it it couldn't have been my fault. You know what I'm saying? Like I walked into the room, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, there's all these different things and they all pinpoint to this one core belief, right? Like that's often going to be like it takes like detective work to get there, is all I'm trying to say. So cool. Y'all can be in the chat. We'll just jump right in. So we're going to tune into our group container, and we're going to once again allow those earth and universal energies to just create all this really big support, all these really big resources. We're going to invite our guides, vaster guidance. And as we bring all these energies and resources, we're just going to like gently direct them towards the thing that we're working on. And so the thing I was sharing was really big congruence with patterns and creating the space, to challenge those really deep patterns, maybe even especially those really deep patterns. And then let's just allow for a lot of this detective work. I think for me, I'm just like, wait, I believe I'm not enough. Damn, I guess so. Right? Like that process of just like letting yourself find something new, like following a pattern down all the way until we get to that like really core belief, just so we create the space to really transform. And then we can reiterate our intentions for being in this intensive and doing this work in general. And I love having the intention that this is a space where all of us is welcome, where we're growing in our wholeness, our ability to celebrate life's wholeness. And then there's all the things that we know to ask for, that we know to want, that we know to dream for. And let's just invite the energies to from the earth, the universe, our guides, faster guidance, just making space to get those things, but even get the things that we don't even know to ask for yet. And we'll put magnets in front and behind our aura. And we're just going to start to release energies. We'll refresh our grounding cord, bring up all these new earth energies. We'll recall authentic energies, filling any spaces. Good. And just kind of get a scan of your body going, just get a baseline of how do you feel. And just fun information is just like how much energy do I have? What areas feel tense? Which areas feel open? And then we're just going to gently scan for those energies of like resistance, of guarding. And just kind of starting at the top of our body, our head, the back of our head, our jaw, our face. And when you find any tension, you can gently breathe into that space. You can thank that space for the way that it's working so hard to keep you safe. Just gently allow that space to open. Noticing what's underneath that guarding. We'll tune in to our shoulders, our back, our torso, and just notice any tension there. And there could be places that there's tension, or there can also be places that we just can't feel anything. And we'll start by honoring any resistance, any guarding, any protective strategies. And just thank them for the ways that they're working hard to protect us. And once again, just allowing those to gently open. Noticing any sensations, any emotions underneath. And then we're just going to allow those earth and universal energies to wash over our whole aura, our body. And we're going to start by allowing yourself to make a little picture out in front of you. And these are your guides, your inner wisdom, to make a little picture of how you see yourself. And we're just going to kind of increase the clarity. And even if you can't see it, just be willing to kind of gather some information about this little picture that we're going to use. And we can bring earth and universe energies and just kind of begin to resource that little picture. And then we're just going to ask fun questions. So we can ask, what are some of the really great qualities that you see in this image? And just see if you can get 3, 4. Might be easy, might be hard to do. Maybe get a sense of how, what's the emotional baseline of this image? Do they seem happy? Do they seem sad? Busy all the time? There you go, good. And we're just gonna, again, asking this picture, we're gonna ask about specific emotions. So we can ask about, what do I do when I feel angry? And just let that little picture show you, does that anger get projected? Does it get stuffed down? Does it get expressed in healthy ways? Good. And then maybe we'll think about the emotion of sadness. And just let the little picture show you what happens to your sadness. And then we can consider an emotion like fear. And then watch how we relate to fear. We can consider an emotion like shame. And just watch how we relate to shame. And certain emotions we're going to even struggle to see. Even as we're tuning into them, we might get kind of bounced out. So just going to come back and ask again. And perfect. And we're going to bring earth and universe energies, and we're just going to start to wash over that little picture of who we think we are. We'll wash over it with earth, with healing, nourishing water, nourishing element of fire to transmute energies. Clearing karma. Good. We'll bring the element of wind. And just offer some like a healing, a quick little evolution there. So this is who we think we are. Let's make a little picture of how we think people see us. And as we hold that image of how people see us, again, notice just a general feeling tone. We kind of tune into our good qualities. See how much of our good qualities do we think people see. And then those different emotions, just really quickly, just see how do we think people see our anger? Do they see our anger? Do people see, how do they see and experience our sadness? Our fear? How do people experience our shame? And then any other emotion that feels important to watch. Again, how I perceive myself, how others perceive me. And then let those two images almost like kind of like hash it out. So maybe how I perceive myself can begin to heal and update how I believe others perceive me. But maybe how others perceive me can update some of my own viewpoints on who I am. And then while they're hashing that out, so this is who I think I am, this is who people think I am. Let's let an image of who we actually are come down. And then notice some things about this image. And see if you can bring awareness and begin to name some of the really great qualities that are here. So, like the power, the compassion, the beauty, the creativity, the intelligence, and the kindness, the patience. Notice those qualities and then just notice something that maybe you didn't know before. And now let this image hash it out with the other two. And then that image of who we actually are, let that come closer. and let however much of that, how we perceive ourselves, how other perceive us, however much of that wants to like also be integrated into that who we actually are. Let your inner wisdom kind of take the lead on that. But we're gonna let that start to flow, like get closer to us, and just start to like flow into, let's say, our crown, our third eye. And just allow your conscious mind to be blessed, healed, evolved by these energies. And just allow different patterns of self talk, of limiting beliefs, allow who we actually are in collaboration with the earth and universe, this container. Just kind of hold those patterns of self talk and just giggle. Like, yeah, that's not me. For fun, you can ask questions like, is that true anymore? Or is that really who I am? And any other questions that really cut through. And then we're just going to let who we really are evolve. Again, our conscious mind, our self talk, but even our identity. And then we'll let these energies continue to flow from that image of who we actually are. Just letting it flow through our body, our channels, our energy centers. And just let these energies start to kind of like soften tension. And then just let your body, its posture, its shape, reflect who you actually are. And when you find pockets of tension, you can inhale, tense around them. Exhale, soften, and just allow who you actually are to flow through that softened, opened area. Again, letting who you actually are open your face, your jaw, your shoulders. And again, you can imagine that you're inhaling these beautiful energies, and you're inhaling and following your heartbeat and just letting them fill your body. If any places have pain, just bringing lots of gentle love and awareness. opening that resilience. And then as that space fills, again, allowing your body to be in the shape of who you actually are. And we're going to let Earth and universe energies both like solidify that and nurture that, giving ourselves full permission to evolve our relationship to our body, to embodiment. And we'll just let that reset our posture. Good. Very good. Awesome. Good. And then again, this symbol of who we actually are. Just imagining all of the different emotions that are in your body. So you can imagine that there's a place where anger is held, where sadness is held, where fear and shame and all of our unique emotions. And just let who you actually are show you how it relates to each of these emotions. And then we're going to start by just letting who we actually are acknowledge. So acknowledge that anger, validate, even giving it permission to be there. Letting who we actually are find our fear, and just allowing it to start to hold, honor, let who you actually are hold any other emotions that are unprocessed, unassimilated. Perfect. And we're just going to let that reset our identity, our self concept. We're going to let it reset our entire relationship to our emotions, our emotional self. We'll let that reset and evolve our relationship to our deep needs, our relationship to our own humanity. And then, however much of these energies of who we actually are, guided by our inner wisdom, however much feels appropriate to integrate in this moment, just open and just let those energies flow through each energy center, healing, awakening, evolving each of those centers. Perfect. We'll put magnets in front of us and behind us to release energies into. We'll clear our grounding cord. We're going to recall authentic energies, along with recalling any soul fragments, any identity fragments. We'll let this part of the process clear, dissolve, and integrate. And then we're just going to allow our self-talk, guided by our inner wisdom, our guides, the earth, to start to show up in front of us like little pictures. And some of those pictures can have words. Maybe you just like feel and intuit what's there. You can recollect things that you've heard yourself say to yourself. But we're just going to let a backlog of all of our self-talk to sit in front of us like little pictures or a bubble of energies. And then when you find a theme, see if that theme was there 5 years ago. And see if that theme was the same or better or worse 10 years ago. And just all the way back, let these themes and self-talk find all of their anchoring moments in time. And as we find those patterns in self-talk and we open to seeing them across time, we're just going to start to wash over all of these different moments in time. And we're going to wash over them with earth energies. We'll wash over them with healing, nourishing water. We'll wash over them with the element of fire. Then the element of wind. And then we're just going to let earth and universal energies hold all of these moments in time and all of these examples of self-talk with lots of love, lots of kindness, lots of gentleness, and then giving each of those moments in time full permission to heal. And as these energies are being healed, we're going to put magnets in front and behind us across time, just supporting a clearing or refresh our grounding cord and allow our connection to the earth to be evolved across time. And then we'll have our guides recall our authentic energies across time. And any lessons that are still here in this self-talk, we can upload those lessons into our Akashic. And then we can bring golden cosmic energies in and just allow to a release, a completion of these patterns of self-talk. Allowing whatever these energies want to release into the earth, they can release, especially now that they've been transmuted back through our family lines. If any, now that they've been healed and transmuted, are deemed by our inner wisdom appropriate to reintegrate, we can let that happen. And then just let this reset your entire crown and third eye space. Then we're going to bring our awareness to the rest of our body. And then we're just going to put little snapshots in time of the different shapes and states of our body. And so an example would be a little picture for when I feel fear. And then allowing myself to see how often my body is in fear. How many times this week, this month, this year? How many times my body is in resistance and guarding? How many times my body is in, we could say, fight or flight? How many times my body is in avoidance, disconnection. And we're just going to let each of those pictures find all of the other examples and moments in time that anchor it. And we're going to open our timeline, and we're just going to begin to wash over each of those moments in time, each of those pictures with earth. Wash over each of those moments in time and each of those pictures with healing, nourishing water. Wash over each of them with the element of fire. And just create this really big space for completing contracts, completing chords. Completing karmic energies. Good. We'll bring the element of wind. We're going to deeply validate each of those moments in time and each of the sensations in our body. And then we're going to give our body in those moments in time full permission to ask from the earth and the universe for whatever it wants and needs. We'll let any lessons that are still here upload into our Akashic. We'll let these energies be offered and integrated back in time, forward in time, allowing this to evolve our timeline, evolve our past, evolve our present, evolve our future. And then finally, we're going to let each of our emotions sit out in front of us like little pictures. So there's anger, sadness, fear, shame, guilt, embarrassment, overwhelm. And we're going to let each of these emotions show us how across time, how present they've been in our life, the role they've played in our life, Good. And then once again, we're going to wash over each of those moments in time with earth energies, with healing, nourishing water, the element of fire, element of wind. What deeply validate each of those emotions, each of those moments in time. And then we're going to give those emotions full permission to ask from the earth and universe for whatever they want and need. Giving them full permission to heal, to evolve, to be cared for, to be loved. We're going to give each of these emotions full permission to heal, evolve, and even like awaken and enlighten. And then we let this whole process clear, dissolve, and integrate. We'll offer it back in time to younger moments in time, to past lives, to our ancestors, involving our past, involving our present. Let this evolve our future. We'll once again let this reset our identity and self-concept. We'll let this reset our reality and belief structures. We'll put magnets in front of us and behind us to clear energy. And there's all these beautiful resources to bring in. We'll let that reset our identity, self-concept, our reality, belief structures, our relationship to our body. We'll bring lots of sparkles in, and boom. That makes sense to me. But all right, we'll just do it real quick. We'll just close out. So um let's just like bring those earth and universal energies. And we had opened our energy centers in that first session on Friday. And just again, allow those earth and universal energies to open your root, allowing your first energy center to just rest into that safety. Allowing your second energy center to either collect or just gently open. Allowing those energies to flow through your body. Allowing your power to open. The full range at your heart. Your throat to gently open. Your third eye. Your crown. Good. We're creating this whole new congruence. And just the earth and universe energies celebrate these breakthroughs. All these new ways of being. And then we're just going to once again invite those bigger collective groups or bubbles, however we're thinking of them. So our family, ancestral lineage, workplaces, the country we live in, this moment in time, different collective groups we're a part of. And from this place of congruence and from who we actually are, right? Our inner wisdom, in collaboration with the earth and universe, we're going to once again honor each of these explorations. We're going to honor all of the beautiful things they've contributed to us. Honor that each of these explorations are valuable and that we're choosing